Today is the 8th Sunday after Pentecost. The epistle is taken from St. Paul's letter to the Catholics in Rome, chapter 8. Brethren, we are debtors, not to the flesh, to live according to the flesh. For if you live according to the flesh, you shall die. But if by the Spirit you mortify the deeds of the flesh, you shall live. For whosoever are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. For you have not received the spirit of bondage again in fear, but you have received the spirit of adoption of sons, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. For the Spirit himself giveth testimony to our spirit that we are the sons of God. And if sons, heirs also, heirs indeed of God, and joint heirs with Christ. The Holy Gospel. Taken from chapter 16 of St. Luke. At that time Jesus spoke to his disciples this parable. There was a certain rich man who had a steward, and the same was accused unto him that he had wasted his goods. And he called him and said to him, How is it that I hear this of thee? Give an account of thy stewardship. For now thou canst be steward no longer. And the steward said within himself, What shall I do? Because my Lord taketh away from me the stewardship. To dig I am not able, to beg I am ashamed. I know what I will do, that when I shall be put out of the stewardship, they may receive me into their houses. Therefore, calling together every one of the Lord's debtors, he said to the first, How much do you owe my Lord? But he said, 100 barrels of oil. And he said to him, Take thy bill, sit down quickly, and write 50. Then he said to another, And how much dost thou owe? Who said, 100 quarters of wheat. He said to him, Take thy bill, and write 80. And the Lord commended the unjust steward for as much as he had done wisely. For the children of this world are wiser in their generation than the children of the light. And I say to you, make unto you friends of the mammon of iniquity, that when you shall fail, they may receive you into everlasting dwellings. Thus are the words of the sacred Scripture. All of you are welcome for the little barbecue after. We have 14 boys arriving tonight for the commencement of the pilgrimage, which will be 3 weeks, starting here in Phoenix. They have all flown in today from all over the country and from Canada. And this is a pilgrimage called the Catholic Combat Pilgrimage. The pilgrimage of the Catholic Combat. Because that is what we're here on earth for, the combat against the devil, against the disordered flesh, against the spirit of the world that takes so many to hell, of which our Lord says in the Scriptures, He who is a friend of this world is an enemy of God. And as one great Benedictine abbot said, the world is a very cruel friend that rewards those who love it with eternal damnation. And so in this pilgrimage, the boys will be hiking and camping out and exploring the rugged Spanish territory that Spain brought the cross, Spain brought the statue of Our Lady La Conquistadora. In the 1620s, it was the great Father Alonso Benaveda. He was the one who established the diocese in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And it's from there the missionaries, over 100 Franciscan missionaries went out to the Southwest to bring this country to Christ the King, to bring the triumph of Our Lady of Guadalupe over the Goddess of Liberty that stands in the New York Harbor. There's a total war between these two ladies And if you don't understand this war, you're going to become a liberal and lose your faith and lose your soul. Because that's what this fight is about. It is about these two ladies. One that stands for the truth and holds the truth, gave birth to the truth, mothered the truth, raised this truth. Through her intercession, truth himself worked the first miracle, changing 153 gallons of water into 153 gallons of the best wine that any winery could ever produce. And this Virgin Mother saw the truth betrayed by one of his own bishops, denied by one of his first chosen popes, abandoned by all his clergy, delivered to the darkness, and hung up on a cross. But this truth is the truth, and death cannot chain him down. Death cannot have victory over the truth himself. And so the truth, Christ, rose victorious from the dead. No one has done this. And no founder of any false religion, be it Muhammad, be it Buddha, be it Luther, John Knox, Joseph Smith, all these phonies, not all of them are food for the worms. They are all in their graves today, rotten. And only one has risen from the dead. Jesus Christ the King. Jesus Christ the eternal high priest. Jesus Christ through whom all things were made. And who will be the judge over the whole human race. And we stand behind this woman, the Virgin Mary. She's like an army dressed for battle. And we got to choose sides, which banner we're going to fight under. Which woman which woman will we stand with? The Virgin Mother or the goddess of liberty? The goddess of the Freemasons? The God of your choice, this nebulous idea of God that is written on our dollar bill. In God we trust. And for the Freemasons, oh, it's whatever God you want. But that's a blasphemy. That is the height of blasphemy against the true God. Because God is not a nebulous cloud that nobody knows. God did become flesh for us. He did become a baby for us. He was nursed at his mother's breasts. God really took on our flesh. He hungered for us, suffered for us, and went through the cruel passion for us. God is not a nebulous cloud, and he stays with us in the sacrifice of the Mass. It's his blood that washes your soul in the confessional. It's not the priest's. The priest is merely the instrument. And we all got to go on our knees and humble ourselves, but it's Christ's blood that washes your soul, strengthens your soul, heals the wounds of sin, gives you back the life of grace, gives you back all the trophies and the medals we have lost if we've committed mortal sin. And he erases the eternal condemnation against such a soul. That's the true God, the true loving and merciful God. And that idea of the Masonic idea of a nebulous God, of the God of your choice, is a blasphemy against the true God. Because he really did become a man. He really did lay down his church. He really did tell us what we must believe to save our soul. So that if we believe all that Christ revealed, called the Catholic doctrine, you'll save your soul. And if you back it up, obviously, with good works. If you love me, keep my commandments. So God really is real. And this is why the modern world is off its hinges. This is why the modern world, especially the modern Western society, is plunging fast to its destruction. divorce laws, abortion laws, perverted marriage laws, the corruption of the children in all the schools. It is a systematic program now to train the children from kindergarten that Mr. So-and-so marrying Mr. So-and-so is normal. And that is why we are on the verge of a major war. We're on the verge of a major chastisement from heaven. Pompeii was destroyed because of its perversion. Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed because of its perversion. And the modern world is on the verge of such a destruction. Oh, Father, you're being pessimistic. Father, you're depressing me. Listen to your loving mother from heaven. She loves you more than I do. She has a heart that's wider than the sea. She stood at the foot of the cross. She loves each one of you, and she warned us as a mother warns her son going out to battle. Or like St. John Bosco's mother told him, if you're going to be a priest, be a good priest, because a bad priest will be punished severely in hell. I'd rather see you not be a priest than be a bad priest, she told her son. So the Virgin Mary is telling us, if the Pope does not consecrate Russia, and he hasn't the way she asked, not one Pope has obeyed her. She asked us to pray the rosary every day. How many of us pray it? Well, a few times a week, maybe monthly. She begged us, pray it every day. Sacrifices for souls. How many of us are consciously making sacrifices to God? And that's going to be easy for the boys these next 3 weeks in this heat. And in the grueling drives, the long drives, and the praying on your knees to all the altars that we go to, over rocks, over tiles, over dirt. And there'll be plenty of occasion for sacrifice, that's for sure. But in normal life, we must offer everything out of God. And this good old lady that fell before Mass, she's certainly offering her bruise on her arm. We'll check it out and see if it's broken after. I hope not. But please, we got to offer everything to God. The Virgin Mary asked us of this to help save souls from hell. And she's the one that said, if the Pope does not consecrate Russia, Russia will continue to spread its heresies throughout the world. And what is the great crime? What is the great errors of Russia that she speaks of? It is godlessness. It is divorcing Christ from our political system and our laws and our economics and our social life and our family life and our entertainment life and our life, period. The West has succeeded to cut Christ out of every level of life. And that is the greatest crime. The greatest crime, says Pope Pius XI, on the kingship of Christ, he says Christ will reserve the greatest torments in hell for those who have ripped him out of the public life. Because now, when society is Catholic, it's like a net, St. Peter's net, catching many fish for heaven. When society and the laws are Catholic and defend Christ the King and the true Catholic religion of tradition, that's called the Catholic state, souls go to heaven easier. It's easier for them to save their soul. Because, everybody's in line for confession, even the president, even the soldiers, even the Senate and the mayor. Everyone's joining the procession of the Holy Eucharist, adoring Christ as God. So it's easier to save your soul. And the laws protect you. Imagine the good laws banning all pornography, banning all bad music, banning all immodest fashions. It certainly would be easier to save your soul and keep the state of grace. And this is the heart of the battle. Satan wants to rip the state of grace out of every soul. That's what he wants. And he has, the only way he can do it was get rid of the Catholic states get rid of the Catholic constitutions, and bring in foul liberalism, modernism, and modern democracy, and the dismantling of what's called Christendom. So we got to take our pick, dear Catholics. What lady do we march behind? The goddess of Freemasonry? The goddess of liberty? Modern democracy? Liberalism? Modernism? And everybody says, oh, but we're free. We're the biggest, freest nation in the world. Let me ask you this. The liberals love to smash the Catholic ages by saying, oh, see how cruel the Catholic Church was to burn heretics at the stake, to put to death the Catholic states that put to death criminals and had capital punishment. Yeah, the Catholic state did that. It's true. But I'll tell you what, at least the guilty were condemned after a fair trial and we got the punishment they deserved. What about a liberal society? What happens there? We all speak about our freedoms. Liberal society is where the innocent are unjustly condemned to death without even a trial. Oh, where is this, Father? Show me where this is happening. We have a free, just, legal system. You want to know? Over 50 million innocent babies massacred without a fair trial, condemned to death by our law, by the Supreme Court of the United States in 1973, passing this law, sentencing so many innocents to death. And what about the euthanasia? Sentencing so many old, shot with what's called comfort care, a nice liberal term to make you feel cozy, and while they butcher and kill their own grandma right in the hospital. This is happening every day. Our wonderful liberal society that drips with blood, that condemns the innocent. And how many children lost because of divorce? Our delinquent centers are filled because of divorce, when the state has no right to make a divorce or to make a marriage. And that's why the popes have condemned so clearly, the good popes of tradition, condemned the state saying, oh, we can make a marriage, the justice of the peace. So we are an age that is on the verge of a severe chastisement. Don't be deceived. And don't be caught in this dream world of la la land, of video games and Disney World and all the useless movies and useless cartoons and useless entertainment. This distracts people. And wake up. The Israelis are now massacring. They talk about Holocaust. They talk about concentration camps. They're treating this whole nation of Gaza, they are in a concentration camp and they're bombing them in cold blood. And the whole world stands silent while Israel is smashing unjustly a whole race of people. And the Pope was just there with these Jews praying for so-called peace with Hindus and Muslims. What kind of peace does mocking the first commandment bring? Does it bring peace when you mock God? That's not peace. And God punishes it because right after the Pope left, the wars began. Because his liberalism and his modernism and his Vatican II heresies are destroying not only the church, but society. And it's in the Pope's hands to rebuild it all. But what can we do? We're not the Pope. All we can do is pray for him and try to shake sense into him. But in the meantime, we must battle on. And as Catholics, we want nothing to do with the goddess of Masonry, the goddess of false religion. We want nothing to do with the errors that take souls to hell and destroy our families, destroy our children, destroy our nation. We want nothing to do with the darkness. But we are the children, we are the soldiers of the light. And that's what you young men, the 14 boys on this pilgrimage, I pray to the Mother of God. We're going to kneel before Our Lady, La Conquistadora. Her statue that's in the cathedral in Santa Fe. It's the first statue brought by the Franciscans, Father Benaveda. He brought this statue. She stands about this high. She's decked in jewelry and beautiful vestments. We will pray before her. That is the woman we want to march behind. She is called La Conquistadora. What does that mean? She is the one who conquers the serpent, conquers the devil, conquers modernism, conquers liberalism, conquers Obama's nonsense, conquers Israel's lies, conquers all the darkness. She's the only one that brings victory, light, true liberty, and is done through the kingship of her divine Son. Jesus Christ King, Jesus Christ our God, Jesus Christ victorious forever. Kyrie eleison, we say in the Mass. Christ is the Kyrios. Kyrios means the one who is victorious, the conqueror. And he is. That's our King. And that's our Queen, the Virgin of Guadalupe, the Virgin Mary. That's the one we march behind. And we're in war, and the devils, they've got their targets right on you, all of us. And it doesn't matter what age. If he can shake us from the state of grace, shake us from the faith and tradition and compromise, we're finished. So, Satan's goal is to build a society where it's easy to live in mortal sin and where it's hard to live in the state of grace. In a Catholic society, it's easier to live in the state of grace, and mortal sin happens. That's why the confession lines were so long and so numerous. But at least the state did not bless sin. In a modern, godless state, modern democracy, Christ is uncrowned, and he's put on a level with all the false religions. And all foulness is allowed to spread. And so, it's harder to save your soul. So, dear friends, dear gentlemen, dear combatants, we are warriors in this time. That's what it means to be a Catholic now. This is not a time of peace. It's not the time of peace. If it's not the time of peace, and it is the time of war, what must you do? You must fight. So let us go to the altar of God, to God who gives joy to our youth. And even you ladies in your 70s and 80s, and you men with gray hair, to God who gives joy to our youth. Because a youthful soul, a youthful spirit in an old body, but a youthful soul is one who lives in the state of grace, who loves God's commandments, loves God first, loves his neighbor for God. So let's go now to this sacrifice where Jesus Christ the King reenacts his sacrifice. He gives you his own sacred heart. Ask that the fire of that sacred heart of Jesus you receive in communion, ask that that sacred fire enkindle in you the fire of his divine love, of his mother's divine love, so that we might really love God and not just treat him like some Coke machine way up in the sky. Just drop a few prayers once a day and hopefully get some benefits. That's not how we treat God. God must permeate our mind. He must permeate our heart. We must order everything to his glory, to his honor. And what an honor for us in this time when he's being betrayed, and now even by his friends of tradition. Betrayed. Anyone who signs that Vatican II is acceptable in the light of tradition betrays Christ. Anyone who says that 95% of Vatican II is acceptable betrays Jesus Christ. Anyone who says the new Mass is legitimate betrays Jesus Christ. Anyone who says religious liberty is reconcilable with the church's magisterium, betrays Jesus Christ, all the popes, and Archbishop Lefebvre who founded the society, and his own superior general and leaders are betraying him because they're drinking in the poison that we have always fought. Always fought. No compromise. No compromise. Till death do we part. With our marriage, our spouse, which is Christ. He is the bridegroom, the church is the bride. Let's pray to the Mother of God that we be faithful, found faithful, and fight courageously under the glorious La Conquistadora, she who crushes the head of the serpent. O Mary, conceived without sin. O Mary, conceived without sin. O Mary, conceived without sin. Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen.